Hi, welcome to Centerville Reports Today. I'm Maureen Russell Hodson. On November 7th, Centerville voters will have the opportunity to decide whether to approve some amendments to our city charter. Here to tell us more is our mayor, Brooks Compton. Hello, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Maureen, for being here. Appreciate the opportunity to talk a little bit about the upcoming election for the charter amendments on November 7th.
So, and we're talking about a city charter, and just to review for people a little bit, our city charter, which is right here, and this is really the guidebook for the way the city of Centerville and the council operate, right?
It absolutely is. And when the city was incorporated in 1968, we established at that time, the council at that time established basically the operation, how the government would operate, from the form of city government to how legislation would be passed, the numbers of council members, a mayor, a deputy mayor, appointment of boards and commissions, and all of those things are included in our charter, and that's how the city operates.
So it's much like a state and the federal government. There are rules and policies, and so when you all are making decisions or the way council operates, it's not just willy-nilly, but it all goes back to this charter, right?
Yes, everything that we pass, from resolutions to ordinances to appointing a city manager, anything of that sort, or levies that we put on the ballot, any item has to be in accordance with the Centerville Charter.
And this document is not a secret.
Not
it is
at all.
available on our website, right?
Yes, it is.
And if you'd like to have a copy like this, you can stop by the city building and you can pick one up as well. But it's very interesting and good reading, and it's something that citizens should know.
Yes.
How their city operates. But
it's a really good read because it does give you a good thought process as to how everything comes together in the formation of a city government and how you run it after it's initially formed. So if you have a chance to read it, it's not very long. It's a fairly short document, but it's absolutely essential to the running of any local government, and particularly with respect to the city of Centerville.
And what's interesting is here on the back it says it was adopted April 16th, 1968. Yes. So actually, as Centerville was preparing to become a city, and then amended in 76, 84, and then in 92. So it's been
Correct.
25 years since
Yes.
any changes have been made.
In fact, our charter calls for that the charter be reviewed every 8 years by a committee that's appointed by members of council. And this year, we had a number of members who got together and the council appointed. And Maureen, I'll just say who they were.
Sure.
It was former Mayor Sally Beals, Paul Clark, Doug Klein, Marge Edson, Dr. Paul Gresham, Regis Leakin, Phil McLaughlin, Norm Player, and Bill Sayre served on the Charter Review Commission this year, made some recommendations that council adopted to set forth to the voters on November 7 to consider as amendments.
So that committee really went through line by line. And we're talking about, as we said, a document that was originally written 50 years ago. So obviously Correct. Some things needed to be changed or cleaned up or
Yes.
clarified. And that's really what we're looking at here for the next upcoming election, right?
Correct. Every year since 1982, it's been reviewed every 8th year. And this year it was again reviewed in 2016. So no changes have been submitted to the voters for a significant period of time. But basically these items are cleanup items to make it consistent with state law, changes in publication, changes in verbiage and language, and some punctuation to clean up.
All right,
so that's basically what's involved in these amendments.
And we're going to go through each one because there are 8 of them, right? And our mayor will explain what these are. So
Sure.
Let's talk about the first one. It was removing references to a particular county.
Yes. It had specifically in our charter was Montgomery County, and what we felt was appropriate, consistent with other municipalities, that just reference that the state of Ohio, that the city of Centerville is a part of the state of Ohio, and that's consistent. If something would happen that we might have, we're in Greene County now today,
Right.
so it was important that we reference not only Montgomery County, but rather than say Greene County, Montgomery County, it's just appropriate to say the state of Ohio. So that's essentially a change just in language only.
And let me back up for a second, because this will all appear as just one issue on the ballot, right?
That's
These
correct.
will not be broken out into 8 different, you'll just vote one time.
That's
whether
correct.
to accept these or approve these or not.
Correct.
Okay, the second one is addressing vacancies in the office of both the mayor and the deputy mayor.
Correct. Our charter the commission felt that the charter should be updated to reflect the fact that if the mayor was unavailable, or there was a vacancy in the mayor's office, the deputy mayor would step in to fill that position until a new mayor was elected. but there would then be a gap in council. So it was important that another council member be appointed to fill the open spot that the deputy mayor had left, and then a new deputy mayor would be elected. So this basically was with the idea to keeping a proper succession plan should the mayor not be available or vacate that position, the deputy mayor steps in, so that we don't leave an open spot on council, so that people are properly represented.
And I would imagine a lot of these things, I mean, that would be something that we probably would have followed some kind of policy like that anyway.
Yes.
But we never had that actually in writing.
That's correct. This puts it in our charter as to a specific policy to follow should that occur.
Okay, clarifying notice requirements for special meetings.
Things have changed a lot since 1968 about how public notices
It wasn't smoke signals, but
it's completely different
Yeah,
from
right.
where we used to be, and particularly with respect to electronic notification. All notices proposed will be, as part of proposed amendment, would be that all notices would be published on the city website and other acceptable electronic means, plus posted in 3 public locations. We haven't decided those exact locations, but they would be places that people, it's easily accessible, and they would have an opportunity to then review all the legislation that's pending in front of our meetings, consistent with state law. So it used to be you had to publish everything in the newspaper
Right.
of general circulation. That's probably is reached more by electronic means now. Through the city websites, you can gain access very easily, and the other locations will be very public locations.
And you can get it immediately as
And
well.
you can get it immediately,
Right.
that's right.
Okay, clarifying the use of resolutions. Before we talk about clarifying the use of resolutions, why don't you tell us what a resolution is?
A resolution does not have the effect of law as far as the city's concerned. We pass law or actions by ordinances, but a resolution is basically a statement of policy or a statement of position, and it's not something that binds the city, but it's reference to a particular item that might come to our attention for voicing support for something, a resolution in support of the schools, a resolution in support of something that's going on in the community, but not a position that's taken for legal aspects of the city. So that's by ordinances, but the idea was to clarify what a resolution would be, and that it's just a statement of position or a statement of policy.
Okay. Modifying requirements for publishing ordinances. I guess this goes back again to the electronic age.
Yes, it does. And let me go back a little bit to clarifying notice requirements for special meetings. When we have a special meeting, and it used to be that we had to give 12 hours notice. Now, we're being consistent with state law. We want to give 24-hour notice if we should have an occasion to have a special meeting. So the clarification on that was from 12 hours to now 24 hours notice for a special meeting.
Now, may I interrupt you for a
Yeah.
second? What would constitute a special meeting? Why would council need to have a special meeting?
If you have something that might deal with a personnel ordinance, a manner or something of that sort, or you might have a specific item that needs to come up for action to be taken by someone within the community that needs a specific special action to pass, to move forward on a development or something of that sort, if that would, and that's unusual. We don't have many special meetings, but if something would be a time limitation and we need to act within a certain time limitation, a special meeting would be required. That's when we'd want to give at least 24 hours notice of that special meeting. It doesn't happen very often. We might have one special meeting a year. In fact, we had a special meeting this year on July 10 to deal with the charter amendments because it fell within an odd timing on our regular formal meeting. So we had a special meeting to deal with this item alone, to pass it, to put it on the ballot, and that required 12 hours of publication. Now it's going to require 24 hours of publication. On a
So
special
again, we'll use our website and social media as well as other outlets.
Correct. Yes, we'll have posted under this proposed at least 3 other locations in addition to the city website.
Okay. Eliminating the expiration of emergency ordinances.
Currently under our charter, an emergency ordinance, which generally applies to such as a budget item. We usually do emergency ordinances at the end of the year. And our charter calls for that emergency ordinance to be, it expires in 75 days. So what that does is that requires us the city to come back, put the ordinance back on for consideration after the end of that 75 days, when we know the emergency has passed. So in this case, what will happen at this point is that there will not be the requirement that it expire in 75 days. We will take action within that period of time, but it doesn't expire within the 75 days. So the emergency ordinance will carry on as if it's a normal ordinance, proper notice given, proper consideration at our council meetings, a public meeting. So there would be no change as far as how we handle the emergency ordinances, other than they just expire. They don't expire after 75 days. They can continue on like a regular ordinance.
And so these won't really change a lot of how council operates during a council meeting. I know we have a lot of students who come and will watch a council meeting, and they'll hear different terms and phrases, but it will kind of streamline the language, is what we're saying. So we'll still have ordinances, we just won't have an emergency ordinance.
That's correct. We would have, as an example, if we, at the end of the year, we do a budget because we have to wrap up everything in the budget by the end of the year. Well, that emergency ordinance just passed because we need to act by the end of the year. It just will no longer expire, don't have the same effect as a regular ordinance. We don't have to come back again and pass another ordinance to deal with it. It'll be effective then.
Oh, that sounds like it'll make things a lot nicer, won't it?
It streamlines things,
Yes.
particularly for staff and for the public also.
Okay, and number 7 here is replacing the term competitive exams for hiring with competitive processes.
This is a prime example of things that have changed over the years. So that it used to be called competitive exams, and now there's a series of items that are addressed when somebody is brought in for potential employment with the city of Centerville. So rather than just an exam, it's now a series of processes. So we're cleaning up that language.
Really updating it to today's world and how the hiring process works.
That's correct.
And then finally, establishing a new section enabling council to make non-substantive changes, for example, punctuation, or that is punctuation and or grammar to the charter.
Correct.
Yeah.
Over the years, the usage of verbiage, usage of words has changed a little bit. And if you look back at in 1968 when it was originally passed, there are items in there that we would use slightly different in terms of how the words are used, or the grammar or the punctuation might be a little bit different. Or if there is an error and we discover an error, we don't have to go back and have that go in front of the voters to collect a comma here that should have been a semicolon or a colon. So that's the purpose of that, is to clean up those very non-substantive changes, which do not have any meaning of significance like the charter does.
And as we've said, it's been 25 years, so there are probably a lot of things in there that have changed. So really, this is a good time to take all of these items at one time and put them before voters.
Yes, it is. And if you think that since that period of time we've had a review, this is our 4th review since it was passed, by members of the community have looked at it and said these are the few items that probably should clean up. And we thought that after 25 years it's appropriate to get these few items cleaned up and passed into the charter, so that for future councils and members of the community, these items will not have to come up again.
All right, so this will be on the ballot on November 7th, and obviously if you're an early voter, you may, I think that's coming out here in a couple of weeks that you'll be able to start voting soon. But this is also unusual in that last year we had an issue on the ballot as well, which was the income tax levy.
Yes, that's right. That was issue 3 and was overwhelmingly approved by the voters, and very appreciative of that. I can tell you that we made the commitment when we went out with the levy that we would put the vast majority of those funds right back into capital improvements within the city. And I think the community has seen, and the city has seen, a lot of road work.
All over the place.
All over the place. And we're committed to that, and we'll continue to do that. We knew that we thought we were getting a little bit behind as far as the road work and making sure that things were done properly. And we're very thankful to the voters of Centerville for passing that, and we're putting it right back into roadways, bikeways, improvements in the community.
And you're right. I mean, there's construction going on all over the place, and playing a little bit of catch up, but we'll get there, and our roads are in good condition.
Yes, it's not a matter that it's all going to be done in 1 or 2 years. It's going to take several years to catch up on that, but that's the commitment, and we'll continue to do that. And I know staff is fully supportive and have spent a great deal of time prioritizing where those roadways should be improved and bikeways. So we're working on that right now.
So we thank voters last year who passed that, and so this year, again, it's November 7th that they'll be approving these. It'll all be on one issue.
Correct.
But if you have questions, you can give the city a call at 433-7151. You can also stop by the city building and pick up the city charter if you'd like to see it, or go online and see it at centervilleohio.gov. And I'm sure, Mr. Mayor, you're willing to answer questions as well for folks.
Any questions, you can either email or call our telephone number. My telephone number's on the website for the city, and feel free to call at any time. And I know any other council member would be very pleased to take any calls regarding this or any other matter. So please give us a call. We're happy to answer any questions with respect to this.
Thank you very much. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, Reed.